So basically, we're going to design a
So
lake
we're gonna
fixture
basically
using
design
electrical
a mirror today.
to be a weird
To
shape.
do this,
So
we're
everybody
gonna
has their own
start
unique
with the
design
main
they like.
top
You don't
tube
have
that's going
to
to bring
be
in the
exactly the
electrical
same as mine.
service
From the ceiling.
But I do recommend using one
To do
spline
that, it's
that's
pretty simple.
enclosed.
We're
We're
going
going to create a circle.
Otherwise, you'll have to
That
do
is
P
the
edit
diameter
of
1.5.
1.9.
So basically,
it's really thin.
before we get started,
Small.
what I would like
And
to
we're
do
gonna
is
actually
create
offset
somewhat
it
of
so
a
we
dimension of what
either we have two
size I'm
options. We
looking
can
to
offset
make.
it or we can shell it out.
Most
It's your
mirrors
own
are about
reference.
24 by
It's
24. You can go
It's your own
bigger, you
option.
can go smaller.
Basically,
So
we have this part.
24 by 24. Or you
I'm
can
going to do the
30
shell
by
this
30.
time. Make it interesting.
I'm going to
I'm
do
gonna extrude
a
this out.
rectangle command, D for
So
extrude, or you can go up 24 by 24.
So we can
That pretty
extrude,
much gives
select
me
the object, we extrude it out.
an
I
area
believe
to
mine's
work
going to be
with.
about
Now I can go
12
outside
inches
this
from the
area
ceiling.
or inside this area. It just doesn't matter.
Don't want to hit
But
anybody's
using
head,
spline,
so that's why
I'm
I
going to create a
I'm not gonna put
design
any lower than that.
with ortho.
But what I need to do is shell it out since I
that's
didn't
the
do
best
press
way to
pull with
use spline.
two different circles. So we're
With
gonna
a
go to shell.
cool, unique design. Of course, you can make it in different
Where are we
shapes,
going here?
even to your
Solid.
own liking. And I created this shape. This would be my
shell.
mirror. So
Select the
really
object.
different shape. I'm not sure if
I'm gonna like it
and
when
the
it's
thickness will
finished,
be,
but it is an
since
option.
we don't know the actual thickness of the
I'm gonna delete
material,
that reference
and it doesn't
rectangle.
affect too much of
I have
the
this
design. We'll do
spline
0.1
set up. It's one piece. I'm gonna need that
to use
But
it
here's
for
the
a few
problem.
different
Since I
ways.
didn't select
Two
the
things.
top
We're
and
gonna
bottom
extrude
face
this area.
it
We're also going to
created
use that line as a reference to
almost a
sweep
capsule.
a channel.
So if I had a
a
visual
metal
view
channel
of
that's going to protect
conceptual, you'll
anybody
see that it actually
working with this mirror.
isn't open at the bottom
Now
or
this
top.
metal channel,
So actually I have to go back,
has
undo
to
this.
fit this mirror, which is going to be about 1/8 to a
There we
quarter
go.
inch
I'm
thick.
going to change the view
Based
as
on your
to
design.
conceptual, and now I'm
So
going
we're
to use
going
the shell
create
command. Solid,
a
shell,
U-shaped channel.
select the object to shell.
So basically,
We'll
it's going
remove
to
the
be
top.
a line going upwards using ortho,
And
going to go
bottom
about
face.
half an inch, and now I can do 0.1.
We're going to go across.
The
So we have our
thickness
tubing
of the mirror, which
That's
will
the
be
main tubing
point-
that electrical is going to come
18
through and connect to our
0.125,
bottom design.
which is 1/8. Now,
Now we're
for
gonna
the
go
bottom
back up
design, what I'm going to do is
0.5
I'm going to use
back
the
down
same
at this point.
tube because I like
This
the
is 12
basic
inch.
look,
For some reason.
the shape we're looking
We're
for.
gonna copy it
the
over.
sheet metal. We can have it
So copy
square
it.
shaped like that, but
And
that's
from the
really
top
hard to
view,
come
since
by.
my X and Y coordinate
Usually
system
it
are
is
from top,
rounded.
I'm going to go to top view.
Easier
I'm
production.
going to slice this into
So it's
half.
going to be extruded
So I'm
metal.
gonna use the
So we're
slice
going to
command.
give it some fillets here at the edge.
Select the object. I'm going to
Use the
slice it
fillet
right in the
command.
middle. You can select the center
Go,
point or the quadrants if you have the quadrants option
do
on in your OSNAP.
1/32,
And you're just going to slice it
Actually,
in the
that's
middle.
too small.
So let's
Move
just
one apart from the other.
radius.
You can see that there's two separate pieces.
Do a little 3D
0.065.
rotations of this. So
So
160
we'll be
facing
that should
upwards.
close that up.
Both
and
of them.
create pretty much a loop around here.
Like so. And
Now
then
we have to
one's
use
gonna
we have to use
rotated
these lines to
around.
give it an offset to
Like
give
so.
it a thickness.
Now
I'm
we're
going to
gonna
use
use
an
18
objects,
gauge
metal.
I'm gonna move them over
Before I
from
do
the
that, I want to make sure you
center
guys got
of the
the
circle
information correctly. So I'm
to
going
the
to
actual center of this
here.
circle, bottom.
0.6025 for almost all
I'm gonna give you
parts.
the dimension here, which is actually 0.5 total.
So there's an issue here, as you can
So,
see. The
not
mirror
gonna
actually
quite
will be
work
inside here.
it's
So what we
overlapping
need to do is
itself.
offset this.
So we have to figure
These
something
three-
out about that.
Actually,
And
we
they can actually
have-
cut it into.
okay, so we only have
We'll actually
four
have to go
lines.
back to it and cut it
We're
into
gonna
an
offset it
angle so we can actually
0.04,
make these match up with each other.
7/8, which is 18.
And we want to do
gauge
both
steel.
sides, or
just about.
depending on how many
Never
we
get it
do.
perfect, but that's
Because right now there's only going to be
there's
we
two.
go
So I
offset.
keep on going. 0.0478.
I can do more. And the idea is that my
We're gonna
wires
offset
will
out.
be coming from the ceiling,
like so,
up here, going through the tube,
and we gotta close the bottoms.
and connecting to these wires here.
So
To
we'll
these
put that
tubes.
dimension in
So
there
the
for you
wires,
guys.
the actual LED lights will be inside,
The thickness,
facing the ceiling.
so it's 0.0.
So from the bottom, you only
478.
see something like this.
I'm gonna leave that as is as a reference. I'm gonna make it.
Now that doesn't look too nice because there's only
And we have to do the p-edit
Here, I'll show you
option,
an
or we can
example.
do region.
we'll only have
We'll do
4
both
for
actually
now.
for this project,
Well, I should have
P-edits.
a lot more of these. So I'm going to do an array of these.
which will make these
For
separate
testing.
lines one piece.
Take the array,
Type in
select
M
the
for
center
multiple.
point. I'm going to see
Select
what
the
looks
entire
good.
object.
Right now,
Enter. Do you want to
I
convert
have
these two polygon
6
lines?
total.
Wide for
I can,
yes.
of course, increase that to 8. Or
We want to join it.
odd numbers.
Join. Enter
9.
fuzz distance 0, 0. Enter 12. So we have a one
more you
single
add,
piece. The other
the
way of
more
doing it,
lights you
which will
need.
be a lot
I mean, you don't have to
faster,
put lights in each
is
part,
if you go
but
to
would be
your
nice.
draw menu
and
bar,
you have to
go
also consider
region,
that you're increasing the cost.
or you can type it in. Select the object, and you click
Probably
on
not much though.
That creates a region.
So we have this design. I'm gonna go with
I don't
a
know what
little
this dot
bit
is
less
here.
than that. I don't
Right.
feel like cutting so many.
So we have
let's say
both of
do
these,
9.
which is great.
I'm gonna keep that in
What
mind
we need to do next is we
and
need
I'm
to
gonna keep
revolve
them.
these two, one of these items,
because I need
around
to
this
actually
path.
cut
That
one
was
of
gonna be our
these
mirror.
to create
It's best to have this copied. So
the
I'm gonna take
shape
this
that I'll
mirror.
have to make all
I'm
of
gonna
them
copy it
to
over.
actually, so they
But
all
what I do
connect
is
to
I
each other.
copy it a specified distance.
So this is gonna be really
That
tricky.
way, if I need, once I have the mirror
The best
extruded
way of
out,
doing
move
this
it back into position without
will
problem.
most likely be
So I'm gonna mirror it
if
over
I had the original
50.
tubing. So I have to go back.
some number that I can remember pretty easily. So I have that copied.
Now, if you're
I'm
doing
using
9,
this
12, or any other number, you can
design
do all
as
this
my
the same,
sweep,
the same way.
and this is my object
I'm
I'm
gonna
be
have to
sweeping.
really go and do. Okay. So I have the original tubing.
So to do
I'm gonna
that,
take one
I
of
need
these
to
tubes. I'm gonna
actually
copy
move
it over
somewhat
at a
closer
distance
to
that
the
I
object
memorized.
so I can get a bit
So
better
about
understanding of
25.
how it's laid out to be.
Delete the other one.
And what I need
And I'm
to
gonna
do
do it
actually is
full
revolve
array
it
again.
around,
Select the object.
3D rotate,
Select the center
actually,
point for array.
to make sure that
6. No, that's not enough.
it's
Click
going to
9.
be following
There we go. So we have 9.
the sweep
I'm
the
gonna keep
correct
that.
way, in which
Close array.
it won't revolve.
Now put this
sweep
object
sideways.
back
It
in.
will sweep the correct way. It's hard to say than show, so I'm going to show it to you in just a
Which
bit.
actually might be
So I'm
an
rotating it
issue.
around
So
to a
I'm
position where I think
trying
you'll
to
be
see if I
following
can actually
the whole path
remove one of these.
around the object or the mirror. Now, of course, your mirror will not be all the way to the end.
Okay, so let's do this.
Actually, it will
I'm
be
gonna do
somewhat away from it because you can never
9
get
is
it to
40,
the edge. Plus,
so
it's going to cause
I'll
friction.
do
8
8
at
at
40. So keep it somewhat close.
leaving a gap for one of
You
these.
gotta play around with that a little bit.
parts. So I'm
And
gonna
what we
go
want to
move
do
it back
next is use the
25.
sweep command.
I have this one part. I'm gonna rotate it.
We go from
the center
extrude to sweep.
40,
We
just like
select
the rest of them.
sweep path, or select
rotate.
object to sweep. So we select that object. Click enter.
40 or might be negative.
So
So negative 40.
let's test the
Okay,
path
so I've
as
placed
is.
that
Item that I'm
selecting this
missing
path
pretty much.
on
Hoping
this
my computer
object.
doesn't crash.
I'm going to use the array to
And it
subtract
creates
from
that
the
piece.
tube I have right here.
Now, if I change the visual view
So
from
subtract
2D wire to
command, select the
conceptual,
object, select
you guys can
parts
see
to remove.
that
And of course, it won't work.
it was
it's an
correctly
array.
swept around.
So I might have to explode
creating
this
a
first before I go any
little gap
closer
in
to
between
that.
where I
So
can put my mirror.
I can take that array,
Now, the
go
thing
to
with the mirror
explode,
is I will have to
create
pretty
separate
much
solid pieces
extrude it both ways.
from which
So if I move it back, it
actually I could have
it's
done that
actually
from
in the
earlier.
center
Subtract
of my channel.
select
To
object.
do that, I do
Select
extrude.
objects. So wait, subtract
My
select
copy,
objects.
go down point
So
0.0625
that's
object.
1/16.
And I'm going to do the same thing, but
What's
I'm
going
going
on
to do
here?
extrude faces to the top plane. And it's going to go 0.0625. So now the total thickness is 1/8,
I'm seeing the data on this. I don't
which
know
is
why.
what I need, and
So
it's actually
select the object you're gonna subtract
been extruded from both
from,
sides. So it's
and select the
extruded
object
up and down.
two objects you're gonna subtract.
Now if I
So
move
you can
that
see that
back
part
to
that's
the
subtracted.
original position, about 50,
Leaves me with this
which I
one little
wrote,
sharp
it
edge,
goes right into
which if
the
I didn't
pocket,
do this whole extra
sleeve that holds it.
procedure, I could have easily just went
So that is
select
basically
the object
mirror.
and use the other ones.
Now
from
once
the
you
array
have this
to create the part.
established, what
I would end up with the same
to make
part.
this actually
So,
possible
guys, we're
paying attention
is
there's
that
a few
you skip
things
that
that
whole process
the
and you can
manufacturer
usually
will
do it
need.
this way pretty fast.
You can't
Now the only
dimension
issue is this is
the
two separate
weird
pieces
spline
that I have
shape
to remove
for them to
It might be connected,
figure
so
out
this might be an
exactly
issue
by
here,
ruler or anything
which
how
I'll have
to
to
do it.
subtract later on.
So the way they would do it
So I'm gonna
is
test
they
this
would
out
just
by
take
going to
your
the separate command.
AutoCAD drawing. Hopefully, I can
Take
separate
the
both
outline
these
of
pieces.
the mirror.
Yes, I
can
can copy that.
This piece and this piece are
Should have
separate.
kept the
I
outline.
remove the
But if I
inside
don't
part.
have that's all right. I can just explode
Actually, I can
this.
remove everything else. So this is my reference based on
Remove
9
these parts.
arrays.
And I think
So I
I
select
need
the
to
array
explode it
again. So
one
I'll array
at a
this
time
part to get
Go
back
to
that line.
9.
So
And they
take that outside.
interact. I explode that.
Interconnect each other. So
Delete
they
one
would
of
be
these.
welded together.
So I still have that line in a way.
So they would take this and they would actually
that
use
would
a
work.
CNC
But here's
machine
an
to
issue
cut it
now,
out, because
because
this pipe up
glass
here
or in the
will
mirror
not work.
correctly.
It will not fit with these. Once
So
they
we'll
have
have to
that,
create
or they might
additional
print it out,
material
lay it under the mirror, and just cut it out.
that will help
Using
attach
this
this
glass cutter.
wire path
The other
into
thing
our
is they
LED
need this
holders,
information.
which
So as you can
are
see,
these.
I have a drawing documented.
So
what
we'll
it
have to
is.
create a circle,
The thickness,
basically,
the
from the center
total
point
to the
inside
view,
edge,
the
from which
total
we extrude it out a little bit
size
from the inside
Let's
ID.
say
So you have to specify the
0.0625
dimensioning that these are IDs,
even
even
though
though cut a
it's
circle in the
clearly
middle
shown
for the
still
pipe
wanna
to connect. Put that extra information in there just in
do
case.
that. I recommend just
And you
creating
also
a
want the
circle
ID
based on the inside
ID, which is
diameter,
inside dimension, and
over,
OD is of course
outside
outside
conduit.
dimension. So we place
So
the
I
inside
select the
dimension 'cause that's
center
our
point and a
critical
quadrant. If you didn't
information.
have that,
We
always
don't
snap
mind
on,
if
you
the
should have that on.
outside is bigger
And
or
I'm gonna
smaller, as long
extrude
as our
this out.
inside is
So that
to
circle inside
that size.
Go all the
And
way
we
down.
might not
doesn't
be able
matter
to
how
get
far,
that
'cause we're just subtracting it
exact
from the
size, so you
solid
can specify
cylinder.
even
So
the
we go
tolerance.
subtract, select the cylinder,
So the tolerance
washer,
can be
or whatever you want to call it.
minus, subtract that part,
0, 0,
and it
so
creates
it doesn't
a
go any
hole so
smaller.
our wires can
The
actually
positive
get through.
I'm gonna move this over so you guys can see that.
1.5.
So it didn't go through.
Something happened. That's what we
Something we
want
wanna
to do. For the other part, this ID can change. It should not cause any issues with our mirror, as long as we have that ID. The
somewhere in the
radius
center.
actually specifies
And
the
now do
ID,
the
but
subtract again.
he might not get that, so we can actually remove that radius.
Now if I move this
Make it
part,
easier for the
should be able
manufacturer
see
to
a
make
hole.
this object for us.
Perfect.
So he knows what material based on
So
what
this is
thickness,
how my
he knows
light
what
array
depth we need
works.
and what
and it's
width
connected.
we
So
need.
it's connected
We
together.
we can specify the
Which is
strength,
not bad.
if
Material wise,
needed to, the
I only
tolerance
have
of the metal, but it may not be required. Like for this part, we don't care.
5.
The only issue we need to resolve with the mirror is how to mount it onto the wall.
Piping,
Probably
which is
recommend
gonna be
using
less than
a
$2.
metal clip with a high intensive glue that would hold it up. So, or they could actually weld on a tab and connect it to the wall. That's another option. But as long as they
Alright,
have
so
this
basically
information
we have this.
in the template,
Now our next step will be to create
detailed
LED lights,
specifying what
which is
thickness
gonna
this
be
mirror is.
should be
Because if they go a thicker mirror,
next
we can't
class, but we'll do
go
some
with
right
this
now.
ID. So you gotta keep
So
that
basically,
informed.
to do
specify
that, we
what
need
it is,
to go to
and
our.
That's
where
pretty
is
much
this
it.
thing?
So once that's complete,
Oh,
the
it doesn't
manufacturer can give you a quote on how much it would cost to create this mirror.
We'll go to our render
And the way they
tab.
would create the
We create
channel
lights.
is they
There's
would
three
have the mirror
there's 4
done.
lights now.
And the channel would be
Web
slowly
light
bent
actually
into that shape,
it
following that path.
goes with the internet.
Which is
I think.
probably
So let's go back.
harder than it
Distance
looks.
light.
So looks like a light from
That's
a
how you do a
distance,
custom
which
mirror.
is our standard. So when anytime you do renderings, that's the standard light we use. Defaults. Spotlight is a light, pretty much a flashlight, where you start having a starting point or where you're holding the light and where it's pointing. And a point light is just a light that you place in a specified spot. For this part, we're going to use the spotlight, the point light. So we're going to create a light. We're going to create this. Yes, turn off our default because our default is a distance light, and we're going to place it into this center point. It's going to ask us some information. We're just going to keep it as is because you can change the name of it. You can type the intensity factor and the other options, which are more advanced. So we have that light, and what we can do now is we're going to move it over. Oh, actually, I should have just made a mistake here. Should have used the main. So this is our main one that we use. That's based on a x-axis. So that's what I want to use, because then it'll be easier for me to move. So I'm going to move that over from that point to that center point. There we go. And from here, I can move it down about 3. I'm going to make a copy of this because that's what you can do. Another 3. Another 3. Oh. No, I don't think so. No lights. So once we have that, we can do the polar array again. So we go array, we select the objects we're arraying and our center point. Change it to 9, and it should all have lights in those positions. And we close the array. It's going to be a lot of lights, so it might have problems. Now, to get the lights to actually work, I need to platform or something so they can reflect their light on. So I'm going to have to create a ceiling. It's going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to create a big box, extrude it out maybe a small amount. So it's pretty much a wall, a reference wall. The only thing I really have to worry about is creating a center point. So I have something to move it to. So midpoint or center point. And top of that connection. So I have this light system, and now if we do the rendering, you go to your render tab. Before you do any rendering, I recommend saving your work, because otherwise it may crash your computer, especially with lights. So whatever. So we go do rendering. It's set at medium right now. We're without using library. I haven't downloaded yet. And it's gonna pop out the screen. It didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to. So our view is better from this. Again, that usually takes a long time. You know what? I have to, so at this point, I'm realizing that these lights might be too intensive and creating no shadow or no object. So let me just check something here. Create an object in the way, so I can test out if the shadows are on and everything is working. So I have an object in the way. I can try rendering again. Of course, there's no layer on it, so no color. Change the color. Okay, I'm going to change some. I'm going to add some color to it. It's not showing the color. That's not good. Let's just add a layer. There we go. There we go. We have the red object. Now, we're not really put too much effort into the material-wise on that block, but at least you can see what happens once you render an object with a light directed at it. We'll do a little bit more of this later on today, maybe. So the viewport we're looking through is from the bottom. This does not have any color. It's not even white because the light is actually coming from the other side and it's hitting the ceiling. And you can even specify the ceiling to reflect light, which is an option. But at this point there is no floor, so light can't reflect on the floor, reflect back to the fixture. We'll get more into that later. But here's a designed light. There is a video for in the future that will show the light fixtures better.